While elected Democrats are busy getting stuff done, the GOP House is trying to erase recent history, and new developments in Russia may put a twist into the war in Ukraine. Welcome to MOMocrats Chat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli, Aliza Worthington of crooksandliars.com. And I'm going to start with what's going on in Russia, because this is something that is occurring as we speak, and it is fascinating. But apparently, the Russians bombed their own mercenaries working for the Wagner Group. And the head of the Wagner Group now is like saying that Putin lied about the start of the war. It looks like there could be a coup going on.
Really? I think it's sort of been brewing for a while.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you heard, this was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks ago, that some Russians took a town near where the battle lines are. And they took it for Ukraine and against Putin.
Wow.
And they were holding it. So
wow.
that was like 4 weeks ago that happened. And now it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the Russians are due for such a massive morale failure. They really are. I mean, yeah. The Russian people don't want this. Nobody wants this. Only Putin wants this.
Right.
And I think everybody is getting to, Russians are getting to the point where they're over it. They're done with it. They don't want their sons going off to war to die.
Yeah, they're tired of the funerals, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all very, very interesting. In the meantime, we've got
this is the first I'm hearing of this. So again, can I ask, like, what purpose does Putin's attacking his own mercenaries serve?
I don't know. It's not good.
This is the first I've heard of it going this way, but it does sound like there is indeed something going on.
So now the Wagner Group is holding a Russian city on Ukraine's behalf, like they're fighting for Ukraine now?
This was a different group. The ones I'm talking about that was 4 weeks ago were not part of the Wagner Group. Okay, this was just a different group of sort of, they were Russians, but they were basically pro-Ukrainian Russians. So yeah, that thing happened. And then I'm sorry, I'm looking now because I've been,
that's okay.
When you deal with parents and kids and everything, it's like, oh, I should take some time and find out what's going on in the world. But
we're all the
this is
all
seriously,
us, right?
Yeah, and this is happening right now, so it's really hard to get a handle on a good narrative on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So here's Jeff Charlotte observing, here I am going on about slow civil war in the U.S. and it turns out Russia's all hold my vodka.
I didn't know, and of course this is the podcast where I don't have a bottle of vodka sitting here with.
Oh no! What's the matter with you?
Was it last one or 2 weeks ago where I had like my thing of vodka sitting here and I was just pouring it with the Fresca?
Oh yeah. Right. Okay. So here's what we've got. The head of Russia's Wagner mercenary group appears to be threatening an armed rebellion against Russia's military leadership.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Holy moly. That's a big deal. Yeah.
I think so. That's why I thought I would mention it as we started our show today.
I'm really glad you
did.
Big.
Yeah, me too. So here's a little bit more from the BBC, reporting that the FSB and SOBR, National Guard Spetsnaz are setting up roadblocks around Moscow. Security forces in Moscow put on high alert, and the fortress plan to protect government buildings in the city has been activated. Alarm is spreading in the city.
Wow.
Wow.
In Moscow. Holy moly.
I know that this reads like something you like a simulation game that you play, like a group game that you'd be playing. Like that would be a card on the that. Wow, that's just that's something, huh? So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Through, I mean, it sounds
I'm
like
interested
literally maybe the Ukrainian counteroffensive is fully underway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't
But
even.
this is,
This is not the Ukraine counteroffensive. This is
This is like a Russian Civil War count.
well,
not Civil War,
but I guess
yeah.
no. I guess my point is though that if you're Ukraine and you can turn Russians on each other and get them to take care of what you would otherwise have to take care of, then that seems like a thing that's good.
It's almost like us sitting back and watching Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene fight.
Exactly. Little bitch.
Let them fight.
Cage fight between Elon Musk and Zuckerberg,
Oh yeah, cage fight, definitely. Not that I want to see them, in bathing suits, because yuck. But
really,
what my dad was recently telling me, both of his grandfathers came from Odessa to the United States, and one came in the late 1890s and the other came in the early 1900s. I think was here by 1910. Not exactly sure of the date, but the other one was 1898, I'm pretty sure. And they both came from Odessa, both came from the same part of the nation. And one of them said they came from Ukraine, and the other one said they came from Russia.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So as far back
Interesting.
as the 19th century,
yeah,
there was this identity crisis, this fluid,
Russians
weird identity,
yeah,
about Ukraine when it came to whether people considered themselves Russian or Ukrainian.
Yeah,
you're only talking 10 years apart,
but it could even be different neighborhoods, different families,
Yeah. It's really, it's fascinating to me.
But it looks like since Russia began its war, even the pro-Russian Ukrainians in Odessa have turned against the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this goes back to what I was saying, which is there's a point where you get tired of sending your sons away to have them come back in caskets. And people get sick of it. And it's like, why are we doing this? Why are we suffering this way?
It's clear that Ukraine's not going to give up, and their military might, they have the sympathy of the world. They have the support of most major powers. And it's just, I don't blame the Russians for not wanting to put up with it. They didn't choose this. They did not choose it. They were protesting from the very beginning.
Yeah.
This has been Putin's ego thing. That's
exactly right.
He wants to recreate the Soviet Union.
Right.
And that has been his long-term vanity project.
Yep. Yeah, vanity project is a great way to describe it.
Exactly. So it's on, I just see this another tweet here that says the Russian state TV is now broadcasting about Prigozhin's rebellion and cites the defense ministry. So it's a real thing. It's a real deal. Nobody's BSing. It's actually somewhat, what a great Friday.
Wow.
I mean, if this happens, that'll be great. In the meantime, we have Wingnut Confabs again this weekend, as usual.
Oh
right?
God, where?
So this is the Faith and Freedom one. Ralph Reed's big, big Wingnut.
Did you see Tim Scott's praise the Lord for the Dobbs decision?
Oh God, no, I missed that. Oh, yuck.
Gross.
I'm a little behind because my stepdad fell this morning and I had to get him up and moving, and he's okay. He's okay. I mean, the thing is, he knows how to fall. This is the best part of it, but it takes a lot to get it back up. So it took both me and my husband getting him back up, and then it happened because the brake on his walker doesn't work. So when he went for something steady to steady himself, it rolled away. So I've been bitching about it. Anyway, this is off the subject, but this is why I don't know anything.
So anyway,
speaking of this, knowing how to fall, we're all, like I said, the three of us sandwich generation, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I know Karoli and I, at least, are still taking care of even adult children.
You guys are sandwich generation, but now I'm like the oldest. I'm the matriarch now in ours.
Oh.
Well, except that your husband's parents are aging and still alive.
My husband's mother is turning 94 in August.
Wow.
Right.
God bless her. So there was something in, I want to say, and I can't believe I'm saying this sentence, AARP magazine, that give me a minute.
Are we admitting this in public?
Give me a moment. Yes, I'm saying this in public. I'm a little verklempt. No, AARP magazine that has really great descriptions, and I'm telling Dave to read it because I fell and did absolutely the opposite of what you're supposed to do. Really good descriptions, drawings of how you're supposed to fall. Mm-hmm. And instructions on how to fall, whether you happen to be falling to the side, forward, or backward. And it is brilliant. And had I gotten it back in April when I fell and broke a finger and got a concussion, I might have had a very different outcome. If I did exactly the opposite. So anyway, for anybody listening, I know this is not politics, but since you brought it up, it's a great thing to learn how to do. You learn how to fall. Yeah. I mean, it probably saved your stepdad broken bones.
Oh, I'm sure it did. Yeah.
As you age is increasingly dangerous. It's really big. You don't want to break a hip. You don't want to break a leg when you're 80 or whatever.
No, 88. So, yeah, you definitely don't.
Anyway, so that's my, AARP has a thing. You should learn how to fall.
Okay.
So anyway,
so going back now. Well, I think
we're all over done with Russia. We're only 12 minutes in, and we're like all over the place.
Well.
I think we were going on to Wingnut Confabs.
Oh, right. Ralph Reed.
On to the Wingnut Confab, and it looks like the entire 2024 clown car is making an appearance.
Oh, yay.
Oh, God. Chris Christie got booed.
I saw that.
I'm sure he did. I'm surprised. I guess I shouldn't be surprised he went, but...
I think if you're going to be a serious candidate, you have to go and preen before these faux Christians, and and pretend like I don't know that you agree.
So it started today or something? Is that
yesterday? Did it start?
Was it Faith and Freedom? I think started maybe yesterday afternoon, but I mean today is the big day. Today is the day where everybody's speaking, and then tomorrow, of course. There's more, but so Tim Scott was like, praise God for the Dobbs decision. Well, fuck him. I mean, you know what really makes me mad about him? Oh, I got the first F-bomb. You know what makes it's his really snarly, nasty attempt to compare himself to Barack Obama and, how he's superior and Obama was just a divider and blah, blah, blah.
That makes me angry.
It makes me want to strangle his little pencil neck and ask him why at 57 he's not married. But I won't, because I just think he's, too ambitious or whatever. I don't know. But, it's like, why? Here's why. Because they don't have anything. They have no policies. They're about like
Nothing.
taking things away from everyone else, not doing anything for people.
Yeah. And they are all running for president. But aside from Christie, they're not saying anything against Donald Trump.
Oh, no. No, they would never. I mean, he's their God and savior, right? I mean, it's awesome. It's really disgusting, how that, like, that. Honestly, I'm not a Chris Christie fan in the least, but he at least is saying things that are true, right? That why are we supporting this guy? He's a liar and a cheat, and he always has been, and so think of somebody else. But instead, they boo him.
He said he was saying he said, I knew that was going to happen, but I'm not changing my message to pander to anybody. I wanted to tell them the truth, and the truth is Trump is not a man of character.
But just like in the movie, they can't handle the truth.
They can't.
They are so busy bending reality to the lies that they have been fed in their little news bubble, that they're trying to expunge Trump's 2 impeachments. They censured Adam Schiff yesterday for doing his job in the previous Congress.
So can I just say, you can't expunge an impeachment. I mean, they can pretend like they're doing it, but they can't, because it's in the record forever. They're not going to be able to go back and erase that record. The best they can do is make a record that says, we don't think he was impeached, which is just, it's really nothing more than, like it's giving theater. Trump a blowjob. That's really what it is. It's
gaslighting.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
It is. It's totally gaslighting.
And their anger. Hunter Biden gets a plea deal on tax evasion and gun charge.
A gun charge, yeah.
And they go nuts because he's not being treated the same as their God who stole hundreds of top secret classified documents.
Well, and as it turns out, he actually really is being treated the same. Like they would have, there's a lot today that said essentially, had it not been for the recordings where they saw him showing them, showing the documents around and then saying he shouldn't be showing them around and things like that, they wouldn't have brought charges against him because they were too concerned about bringing charges against the next president, blah, 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 blah. But then they heard the tapes and that was it. There was nothing else. They couldn't not do something. They had to do it.
Right. And, on the other front, on the January 6th front, they are finally investigating the fake electors plot.
Yep.
And they have offered partial immunity to some of the ringleaders in Nevada. And they're getting the facts before the grand jury.
All the way to the top, he said. Yep. They said all the way to the top.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's going fast now.
I feel like more charges are coming.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. So Putin, we got to go back to Russia for a sec because this stuff is going fast now.
Oh yeah.
Russian President Putin is aware of the situation unfolding around Prigozhin, and that Russia's Federal Security Service (FSB) initiated a criminal case accusing the Wagner chief of calling for armed rebellion. Well, I hope he enjoys his last few minutes in office because it sounds like that armed rebellion is happening, and if they're shutting down Moscow, it's not long.
Wow, that's crazy.
Like,
isn't it wild?
Wasn't on my.
What if tonight? What if we wake up tomorrow and Putin's not in power anymore?
Well, Prigozhin.
Well, that would be awesome. Huh? Yeah.
I mean, whoever they replace him with will probably be worse, but yeah.
I mean, it's chaotic.
It's kind of
it is chaotic.
war.
But do you guys remember the fall of the Soviet Union? I mean, this is kind of how that went, right?
Yeah.
It was like
Everything
it rolled on through,
and then wham,
right? Yeah, and it was like you just watching it in real time, like, wow, this is really happening, and everything. And then, so yeah, it will. If this succeeds, it will certainly destabilize Russia, and it will be chaotic for a while. But it will also mean that it'll also mean the end of this war with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that's
a good thing.
Amazing. A very good thing.
And maybe the money train will stop going to all of the fuckers in the GOP who are messing with us. All of the so-called third-party candidates that are popping up, all of the crazy support for RFK Jr., who is speaking at a mall of liberty.
Lady Nazis.
He's a Republican tool.
Yes.
He absolutely is. And they're wielding him as best they can in these primaries.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people are really nervous about it. I'm not sanguine about it, but I do feel like you're looking at this and you're seeing that they could basically take the Kennedy and wreak some havoc with it. And so we better be working now, right? I mean, let's not be complacent. The primaries have to happen, and we got to get everybody behind Biden. It's just crazy. The other thing I will say is that they're still not reporting about what Kamala Harris is doing.
Well,
right.
Why would they report?
I'm actually seeing more. Like a couple of weeks ago, they put in a new media management person for the vice president's office. And I have been seeing a lot more from Kamala Harris's office, a lot more reporting on her. She's a lot more in the last 2 weeks.
Well, she's also, she was on Joy Reid last week also.
Yeah,
or was that this week?
That was this week.
That was this week, and it was very good. Yeah, it was right. And I think we'll see more of that. I know I saw somebody, I don't even remember where I saw it. I think it was Facebook, basically a couple of weeks ago, saying, just it was nobody prominent, just a person saying something about how, where's Kamala Harris? She should be slapping Mike Pence back, and she's not. I'm never voting for Biden again. And I thought,
what? You're an idiot.
I couldn't resist, it was when she was actually out of the country in the Bahamas negotiating and working with them on some really important foreign policy stuff. And stuff that normally a president would be doing, but there was so much going on here that she went and did that. And I couldn't resist. I just said, what the fuck? Do you have any idea what she's doing? Do you not know what she's doing? Well, guess what? I'm on a list and I get everything she's doing every minute of every day. And I know what she's doing. And, so fuck off with your this. And she came back and apologized to me later.
Capable of knowing. Anybody could be on that list. Anybody can get notification.
Yeah.
Of the daily guidance of where and what both the president and the vice president do. I can get daily guidance on what my city council person is doing, like where their meetings are, what's this information is there to be consumed.
And by the way, he was at the state dinner last night for
the
prime minister.
Yes,
wearing her Indian jewelry.
Gorgeous.
And representing,
That was that gown, that beautiful gold shimmery gown with the beautiful jewelry. She was stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, she was. And so, it's just that really set me off. I have to say, I was much harder on her than I usually am on anybody on Facebook, but I was just so, you impulsive bitch. Why don't you find out?
Right. To go from where is she to I'm never voting for Biden again is so dumb.
And I didn't even know what Pence said that made her so mad. But whatever it is, I mean, that guy is, I mean, she's too good for him anyway. Anybody could knock him over, right?
And
I mean,
he doesn't have a chance in hell. There is no way on God's green earth. And I know that
because the
some
base
people are superstitious about speaking things like this into the universe, but I'm just going to go ahead and say there is no way on God's green earth Mike Pence is going to get the Republican nomination.
Well, the base doesn't like him,
right.
And, even if Trump...
He's got the charisma of this pink post-it.
He's going to run jail because there's nothing to stop him. And, I don't know why so many... I mean, why is Rick Scott climbing into the clown car now? Into the clown car.
Well, and while we're at it, how about Will Hurd? I mean,
talk about somebody
why
he doesn't care about.
Who is, wasn't he? Is he in office anywhere?
No. He was. He
the only thing he's really got to his credit at this point is that he's Beto O'Rourke's friend. That's about it. I mean,
has he? When was the last time he held office?
2 years ago.
Oh, it's 2 years ago, yeah.
And he voted against impeachment, even knowing that Trump broke the law.
Oh my God!
Right. So and he votes with Trump a lot,
but he didn't have the balls of Mitt Romney.
Right. And can you believe that you just said those words out loud?
That's how upset I get about it. But I think we have all gotten used to people on Twitter complaining about whoever is the leader of the Democratic Party and just complaining about one thing that person has not done and saying, I'm never going to vote for them. And it's all part of this false flag stuff to discourage us. It's usually, it's the student debt thing. And I just want to say, at the beginning of the show, besides talking about what's happening in Russia, I talked about how quietly Democratic leaders are succeeding. Last night it was revealed that, months ago, there was the threat of a railroad strike. And
I read about this.
And the Biden administration got everybody back to work, but without striking a deal on the sick days.
Yes.
Well, now the IBEW has announced that quietly behind the scenes, the administration continued to negotiate and the workers now have their sick days.
Yep.
Right. They have 4 paid sick days with another 3 personal days that they can convert.
Right. And this is the kind of thing that this administration does. And I hate that it's so quiet. People don't notice. You have got an unprecedented amount of manufacturing capacity being built in this country, mostly in red states. And that's
a manufacturing boom.
Yeah. And that's all from the infrastructure, the IRA, the Infrastructure Act. And you've got economists saying that this is going to leave a mark on our economy for the next 10 years.
Yep.
There is a reason why they're still claiming that there's going to be a recession, but there hasn't been a recession, and there's no indication that there's going to be a recession unless the Fed raises interest rates too high too fast.
Don't get started on that.
Powell is still talking about moving, even though
I heard that whisper. I heard that, Karoli.
Look at Pennsylvania. 2 weeks ago, you had that accident where the truck went on fire and melted the bridge on I-95. I
was hoping we were going to get to that. If you didn't mention it, I was going to. It's open.
Had to. And Josh Shapiro, coordinating with the federal government and with the unions, had crews working 24 hours a day, and it reopened today.
Unbelievable.
2 weeks.
Ahead of schedule.
2 weeks.
Huge accomplishment. And I just do want to say one thing, Mike. I think the governor, Josh Shapiro, was great, getting everybody. Yes. I mean, I supported him like right at the beginning. I still have my shirt that I bought.
Yeah, I gave him a lot of money.
And everything.
I'm looking for something. I'm not being rude.
Okay, so he basically announced that it's going to be reopened. And some journalist, Garrett Graff, says, it's weird how little Dems talk about Whitmer and Shapiro as presidential candidates. They clearly are the top of the next pack, popular, competent, and major swing states. And I'm thinking to myself, hello, this cycle hasn't even started yet, and you're already in 2028. Give me a freaking break, would you? I don't think I can handle that. So anyway, but yes, I mean, he did a great job at getting it open. I mean, if we're going to talk about that, let's talk about Newsom as a potential candidate too. So,
Newsom's interview with Hannity
was awesome. Oh my God.
Yes.
Like, Hannity will never interview Gavin Newsom again. That's my prediction, because Gavin Newsom took him out to the woodshed and spanked him hard. And it was great.
Yeah,
and he did it all with facts.
Worth watching,
Well, because why would Hannity concern himself with something like facts?
Well, I mean, and generally, I don't like Democrats going on Fox News because, typically they get steamrolled with bullshit when they're trying to put out facts. But in this case, Newsom was great at steamrolling Hannity with facts. Not that Hannity's audience probably actually cared. They probably were feeling very sad for Sean Hannity that this mean governor was beating him up.
But,
it was what it was. It was great.
Newsom looks great.
Yeah. Gavin Newsom. So, I mean, it's just like journalists are so addicted to the horse race that they're already thinking about the one after Biden. Right. And you say it's weird how little
they're discounting the fact that we have an excellent vice president who they refuse to cover.
That was going to be my second point.
She's a no-go.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, it's just silly. But anyway, so that's just my little side rant about everything. But yeah, I mean, Josh Shapiro did a great job, and I hope that all of these little contingencies, right? That like, for example, the fact that there's manufacturing in the red states that's happening and jobs are coming as that. They need to know why. They need to know that it wasn't Trump who made those jobs. If it was up to Trump and the Republicans, those jobs would be taken away, because that's what Republicans do. They take away things.
And we have to remind them that their own representatives voted against it because they're busy taking credit for it.
I keep looking for this chart and I can't find it. It's the one that shows like the job creation of the presidents.
Oh, I have that somewhere in my email.
That one.
Yeah, it's like, here, I can do it for you. There's these presidents here that are Democrats. Right. And then there's these presidents here that are Republicans. And then there's Biden.
All the way down here.
And then Trump's the only one who's negative.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to find it. Damn it. Keep talking. Found it.
Going back. Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Can we see that?
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. And that big blue one is Biden.
That big blue one is Biden.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look at how little the Bushes are.
I know.
Reagan was okay, but then you have like Clinton was big and Obama was a little less. And then look at fucking Biden.
Biden's like.
And some of that is recovering jobs lost because of the pandemic. But I mean.
But they actually account for that.
Yeah.
But they do. Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, it's
probably.
accounted for it in the chart. No, it is. I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at,
If you look at
it's
the
accounted
labor
for.
statistics, thousands of
Yeah.
jobs created per month is what that is.
Yeah.
That
So
that chart is, and I found that on Twitter at the under the White House, the official White House account. So, and it's based on the Bureau of Statistics. It's not White House propaganda. It's the Bureau of Labor. You know, it's. I mean,
nonpartisan.
Yeah, nonpartisan.
okay, so here we have a Russian, going back to Russia for a sec.
Russia update.
We have a Russian commander begging Prigozhin. I appeal to the leadership, commanders, and fighters of PMC Wagner. Together with you, we walked a difficult path. Together with you, we fought. We took risks, we took losses, but overcome together. We are of the same blood. We are warriors. I call on you to stop. The enemy is waiting for our internal political situation to aggravate. We shouldn't play into the enemy's hand in this difficult time for the country. It needs to be done before it's too late to obey the will and order of the people elected president, eye roll, of the Russian Federation. Right. Stop the columns and return them to their permanent positions and places of concentration. Woo! So that's a Russian commander begging Wagner. Yeah, exactly. Stop. Wow. Well, that's okay. I'll keep bringing you Russia.
History on the podcast. This is like wild.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen on Netflix? There's a show called Cleo. Cleo with a K, Kleo.
No.
And it's a fascinating premise, and I just learned that there's going to be a season 2, about which I am thrilled. It's about an East German Stasi assassin who had assignments wherein this was in the 1980s, before the Berlin Wall fell, in the late 1980s, and she would make her way had secret passes under the wall and show up in West Germany and, perform, take care of her hits and go back, under the tunnels and reappear in East Germany. And, I'm not giving anything away when I say she, ultimately ends up thrown under the bus and goes to jail in East Germany. And when she comes out of jail, the wall has fallen. So she comes out in a freer East German society, and it's really interesting. But there are people in East Germany who are still clinging to that power structure,
including because he was like head of the Stasi, wasn't he?
It was very, very interesting and a really fun show. Great acting. We're watching it in German with the
subtitles.
With the subtitles. At one point, Dave was like, "You mean we could watch it in English and not have to, let's try it, let's try it." And I'm like, no, I don't want to watch like bad lip syncing and like try to, let's just listen to it in German. I learned a few German words and whatever. But it's real, it's kind of interesting. Like, and here we are seeing,
Russia is
Putin's power just, seemingly evaporate.
Well, maybe not. We'll see. So Gary Kasparov, who is somebody that I respect a lot, basically says that Russia has already collapsed. It is not a state; it's a mafia front with factions fighting each other for money, resources, and power. And then he goes on to talk about, the fact that Putin couldn't basically rein in all the different factions and keep them on board, and that's what's going on now. And he says they'll just, as Ukrainian victories multiply, they'll just start pointing fingers at each other, and so that's kind of what's going on here. So that's what he says.
Sounds a little like Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
Where does Kasparov
Well, so
live? Where does he call? What does Kasparov call home?
Well, he lives
here
here, doesn't he?
In the
in
United
the
States?
U.S.
He
Yeah.
lives in the
Yeah.
U.S. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if anybody knows Russia, he does.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. I
that's
know. I wasn't suggesting he still lived in Russia.
yeah,
I was just curious.
yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm trying not to read Twitter other than to just look at Russia stuff.
Yeah.
And so Brian Tashman tweets that quote tweeted the thing about FSB opening a criminal case against Prigozhin and said, finally, an insurrectionist that Glenn Greenwald will not defend.
Well, when I was like putting together notes for this week, before we knew that everything was gonna like blow up in Russia,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk a little bit about the difference in coverage between the submersible that went down to the Titanic and the migrant ship
Off of Greece.
that capsized, and the difference in that? I mean, I do
Mm-hmm.
see the fascination because of the Titanic, because these are billionaires, that poor 19-year-old kid. I mean,
I
but
I
hundreds
don't
of
see the
people.
fascination. I don't. I can't relate to it at all. When I first heard about it, from the minute I heard about it, honestly, I could not be bothered to care.
And yet, that's all that the news programs talked about all week.
Exactly. And it wasn't from a lack of compassion. It was from a feeling of, play stupid games.
You take
Win stupid prizes.
Win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
And, it's not, and then and then there were things about it that made me very, very angry. And the comparison of the coverage is one. The coverage was one of them.
Yes.
But hold on, my screen just went black. The coverage of it was one of them, but the resources expended.
Yes.
And the person in charge of the company who was still on land demanding responses from the Coast Guard and acting like he was insisting on he was mad about the service and not, demanding to the manager over this, as if he was entitled to, people are going to know the names of the people in the government who didn't do their jobs. That made me really, really angry.
How about
the lives that they put at risk, in addition to their own, all those people who had to go after to save, try to save them.
Yeah.
And then when I learned about this kid, that he was terrified and didn't want to go, then forget it. My anger turns to rage.
Yeah.
And especially when you compare it to, so on behalf of that kid, I just feel rage. And in terms of, and my rage about that kid is the same level of rage that I feel about the fact that the Greek authorities were watching this boat with over 700 migrants on it, knew it was breached, sinking, and did nothing for like 8 hours.
Nothing.
Those lives weren't worth anything.
No, they didn't want the migrants on their shores. They didn't want
And
any.
right. And the media ignored it entirely. And
Totally ignored
to
it.
even make matters worse, there was one station, the one that Chris Cuomo now works for, and
Oh
Bill
God,
O'Reilly.
Newsmax or something?
News
No,
Nation.
it's not
News Nation?
Newsmax. It's
News
News
Nation.
Nation. Ran a countdown clock
Oh,
of the oxygen running out. I mean,
For the
talk about
submersible, you mean?
gruesome. Yeah,
the
right.
submersible. Yeah,
Yeah.
How
Ran,
ghoulish.
I mean,
that's so gross.
it's very ghoulish, but the reason that the media was so involved in the story, honestly, was because there was if you didn't put a countdown clock on, there still was one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're ticking down. There's only so much
There's
oxygen. Of
only
course, now we
36
know
hours of oxygen
that,
left. Yeah.
right. And now we know, of course, that the thing imploded like the day it was, the first day, basically.
An hour and a half after it's
Mostly.
an hour and a
Yeah.
half into the trip.
Yeah, they died instantly. And
Yeah, right.
thank goodness.
Thank God. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that part's merciful. I mean, Tim asked me
that's a good
today,
word.
would you rather like not have it implode and have the possibility of oxygen running out? I'm like, no. I mean, I wouldn't be on it in the first place, right? But if I were,
Yeah.
I'd rather just be vaporized, right? I don't want to,
Yeah.
without knowing what's coming.
I mean, it's
So,
kind of like the space shuttle, the Challenger,
right.
which we saw. That was horrifying to see that, but with this, we didn't find out the fate until yesterday.
Right. Right.
Because,
So
yeah,
I mean, I understand what if you're an editor, you're thinking about, the suspense factor is the one with the submersible. But the real story, the real news was those migrants that were basically allowed to drown
it's a
because they
humanitarian
wouldn't.
crisis, an ongoing humanitarian crisis that is going on with all the wars and famine, climate change throughout the world. And
I don't even know where they were coming from. That's how little coverage it got.
India, Pakistan.
Yeah.
All right, so the sort of dark, the sort of brown nation of Greece,
Palestine,
didn't want the darker brown people of India and Pakistan on their shores.
Didn't want the Muslims.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, like what? I mean, it's not like Greece is known for its. I don't think their political body is known, for their purity at the moment, should I say?
Well, it's a right-wing
No.
in Greece.
I mean,
yeah. The problem is, and Donna just nailed it, that these are right-wing governments.
Yeah.
And there's way too many of them in Europe. There's in Greece you have one, in France you have one, in Europe, Italy.
And hopefully if Putin is gone,
some
of that
God,
will change because he's been stirring up the right wing all over the world.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant by purity. I mean, there's a lot of corruption and there's they're not known for the moral high ground in Greece, their politics.
Supreme Court.
I'm sorry?
Just like our Supreme Court.
Exactly. Nice segue.
Right.
But I mean, I mean that it's just they just watched for 8 hours.
Yeah. Horrifying.
So I'm seeing that they were Syrian and Kurdish migrants.
Okay.
That were, so I thought they were probably Syrian, and that would explain why Turkey wasn't gonna
didn't want
rescue
them, right?
them. Yeah, and everything. So I mean, whatever it is, we get off the coast of California, we get migrant boats all the time that come up the coast here. Sure. And they try actually to dock really close to where we live, like maybe 6 miles away. And, obviously the Coast Guard tries to keep them out. But if I would have gone and rescued them myself if I heard that a boat capsized and nobody was going to rescue them. Yeah.
I believe our Coast Guard would try to rescue them.
They would. Yeah, no, they would. They have.
And, that is kind of the irony of DeSantis sending migrants to California.
I know.
Like we have our own, we're on the border. We're actually on the border. Florida is not.
Right.
Right. The only immigrants that Florida gets are Cuban, and they want them because they're usually right wing. So, but yeah, no.
This is why you can't. This is why you can't draw certain ethnicities as a monolith. You can't look at the Hispanic vote and generalize. There's.
You can't look at any vote. You can't look at the evangelical Christian vote and say
no, you can't.
You can't look at the Jewish vote and say that they're all one way.
No, you got your factions in all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we learned that in that photo of that after Donald Trump was indicted and appeared in court and then went to wherever he went. To
the Cuban restaurant,
and everybody was praying over him, and there was somebody who appeared to be Jewish praying over him, wearing a yarmulke and everything. That's a Messianic Jew.
Of course it was.
I was like, that guy's not a Jew. Yeah. Right? In my head, I'm like, I'll bet that's a Jew for Jesus.
Yeah.
And I just read this morning that it turns out that's a Messianic Jew.
Which is not the same as being Jewish.
Which is not a Jew.
Right.
It's a Jew for Jesus. And I was like...
Which is a contradiction in terms.
Which doesn't exist. Like saying jumbo shrimp, right? It's like not...
Or military intelligence, I know.
Right. Military intelligence, right.
All of that.
George Carlin.
Right. So it's an oxymoron. So that doesn't, anyway. Oh my God. We haven't even talked about Trump in the indictment or anything today.
Well,
we touched on.
I guess that was last week.
Definitely. Yeah, it was. And it was delicious. And still is.
I'm still enjoying it.
He's melting down, and it's wonderful to see. Because here's the thing, he got a look at what the prosecutor's evidence is. He got his lawyers got the transcripts, the grand jury transcripts, and some of the evidence, and he can't talk about it. He can't mention it. He can't. I mean, he's under a court order not to talk about it, and it's just driving him crazy. On his Truth Social, he's like, Congress, do something. And I feel like saying, dude, didn't you learn anything? If you didn't learn this, a Republican House isn't going to do anything, right? They're all caught up in like symbolic censure votes of Adam Schiff, which probably guarantees that he's going to win the Senate race in California because, we're not up with them censuring our guy.
And by the way, he was fire.
He was.
Adam Schiff.
Yes, he was.
When he took to the well to make his speech, he was so good.
Oh, shades of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh, it was
brilliant.
And then it was just such a scene when all the Democrats were shouting shame. And Kevin McCarthy, who just could not bring the House to order.
I thought it was great.
It was so satisfying.
It was. I wanted to shout with him. I really did. I wanted to shout shame with him and everything. And the fact that he couldn't get anything, to calm down and in order was just awesome. It was like, yes, great. This is how it should be.
This was on the same day as their stupid little John Durham hearing. where Adam
Which is
Schiff
also fun.
grilled John Durham. And we discover that Durham never even bothered to read the Mueller report.
Right.
Really?
That was, and that was Adam Schiff and Dan Goldman.
Yes.
And yeah,
Eric
they were on
Swalwell
fire with that one too.
Yeah.
Dan Goldman was brilliant. He was awesome.
So great.
They are so out of their league with us and our guys. I mean,
I felt like John Durham was literally just I mean, he was completely out of his league. I don't even know how he's a lawyer,
These
honestly.
people have been in the Fox News bubble for so long that their brains are rotted.
yeah.
You know, they
the Republicans wanted a dumb electorate and they got it.
But on top of
Right.
that, they got dumb legislatures too.
They did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you elect people like Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you get dumb
Luna.
Anna Paulina Luna, I mean, oh God. She's introduced 5 things or 6, I guess. And of the 6, 5 of them have been against Adam Schiff.
Yeah, she's like obsessed with him.
She is. It's just wild. I mean, I feel like saying, you know, are you being paid to elect him in California to the Senate? Because that's where he's going if you keep this.
That's great. I mean, you know, keep it up, babe. You know,
Yeah.
all she's doing is proving that Republicans aren't interested in governing in the slightest.
No.
They are not interested in helping their constituents, in doing, you know, all they're interested in is performance politics. This is all performative bullshit.
Ever since
Of course it is.
Gingrich.
Yeah.
They have not tried to govern. All they've done are culture wars ever since Newt Gingrich. Tax cuts, culture wars.
Like, you know, has anybody in Luna's district benefited from anything she's done? You know,
No.
Meanwhile, look at Lauren Underwood, or look at, you know, Kwesi Mfume introduced something. You know, he's my guy who replaced, not replaced, got elected when Elijah Cummings passed away. So he's my congressman now. You know, introduced a bill into Congress about, you know, students not, student athletes not being, you know, like just placing limits on what they would be forced to do in their workouts for, you know, in the heat. It's, you know, named after, I forget the kid's name, but who passed away in 1 August under direct, you know, having during the workout because it was just
during
so
Hell
goddamn
Week.
hot, and he was wearing all the football stuff, and you know, like he's quit. So Mfume is like introducing things to actually help, you know, people, you know,
that's what you want a representative to do.
Yeah.
And the Republicans don't do that. You guys,
what are they doing?
We've come to the end of our hour.
What?
I know.
We have. I know.
Last week, so I'm determined not to do that.
Oh, we won't do that this time.
So that is our show for the week. Obviously, we still have a lot to talk about. We're going to be watching what's happening in Russia, but we'll know what's going on next Friday. Join us on YouTube, MOMocrats.buzzsprout.com, or your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. Be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza Worthington. We're saying bye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everybody.
Hey.
Bye.
MOMocrats Mama Chat is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.